Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight, Tuesday night's video blog here on WKTV.com. We're going to be talking mostly about the tropics here, but I also want to give you a little bit of insight into August. So take a look at this here as we'll show you some of the stats from August. It was kind of the tale of 2 months during the month of August, which we found to be pretty interesting. If you split the month right down the middle, around the 15th, first half of the month saw almost 3 inches of rain, temperatures generally averaging around just under 68 degrees, and you can see the high temperature and low temperature there, the average high and average low, 77 for the high just about, and 58.1 for the low. But if you look at the second half of the month, we had a total under an inch of rain. We also averaged a temperature not too dissimilar, about 1.5 degrees cooler than the first half of the month. Yet high temperatures were warmer. 77.6 degrees was your high temperature. But check out the low, 53.6. It was really, really cool. Very dry, clear skies led to these rather chilly nights out there. So a wet first half and a dry but pleasant second half of the month of August, to say the least. Let's get down to business right now. Talk about some of the hurricane issues that we're going to be dealing with here over the next several days, probably over the next week to 10 days. We have 3 storms going in the Atlantic right now as things have really started to crank up. Hanna is the main threat right now as it's threatening the southeastern United States. Then there's also Ike, which is out in the Atlantic right now. Could impact the islands in a few days. And then there's Josephine, which formed this morning. That is way out in the Atlantic. Probably not going to end up being a threat to anybody. Here's Gustav, what's left of Gustav, spinning over Arkansas, bringing lots of heavy rain to this area. We can fly out here, though. We'll take you on a tour of the tropics. There's Hanna right here over the Caribbean. Not very pretty looking. We'll talk about that in a second. Then here is Ike, and just on the edge of your screen here, you can start to see Josephine moving across the Atlantic. Let's start with Josephine. In fact, here's your official National Hurricane Center forecast track for Josephine. It takes it across generally as a tropical storm, starts to bend it to the north just a bit here. Notice it really doesn't develop into a hurricane at least, and it continues off to the northwest here. If I had to place bets on this right now, I would say it turns out to sea. And in fact, as we take a look at the computer model forecasts for Josephine, you'll be able to see each one of these lines represents a computer model forecast for the track of the storm. And all these start to bend off to the north just a bit, and I would assume at some point these are going to arc back out to sea. Long way to go with this, though. We'll keep an eye on it. That's the least of our concerns at this point in time. Let's take you a little bit further west. Here's Ike. You can see right on the left side of your screen, Puerto Rico. There's San Juan. Ike right now not doing too bad, is a pretty healthy tropical storm at this point in time. Let's track it and notice Ike strengthens into a hurricane here. That's why we're a little bit more interested in Ike than Josephine at this point. It starts to go to the northwest, but then it starts to bend back to the west, and that's where things get interesting as Ike moves across the islands, forecasted to be a Category 2 hurricane with winds over 100 miles an hour. What's going to be interesting to see what Ike does, it could kind of follow in Gustav's footsteps into the Gulf of Mexico, and should that happen, here we go again on the Gulf Coast with another hurricane, potentially in a better environment. We'll have to see about that to strengthen. We'll keep an eye on it. Here's your computer model tracks for Ike. Notice they all go to the west, and pretty good agreement that they're going to continue across the islands. A couple of outliers here going to the north, but general good agreement that it should be just to the north of most of the big islands, the Greater Antilles, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti here, probably within about 5 days or so. Now let's turn our attention to Hanna. Hanna, not very good shape right now, struggling mightily under a lot of wind shear, a lot of strong winds aloft, blowing this thing apart. Right now, the center of it is actually to the north of the islands right now, kind of exposed from the cloud cover, which means it's not exactly healthy. But we have to talk about it because it is going to become of interest to us over the next couple of days. You'll see the track of Hanna start to lift up here, and it is forecasted, I should say, to strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane still, and landfall somewhere on the Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, or North Carolina coast here in a couple of days, then lift off to the north and east through up the coast and into New England. Notice the track is to our east. We're located somewhere right in here, and the track is to our east. This is very important because when you have a track of a tropical system like this over land, if you're to the east of the track, in other words, if we were on this side of the forecast track, that's the more favorable side for both wind and also severe weather, the potential for tornadoes and very heavy rainfall. We're on the other side, much less wind, if any wind. You probably wouldn't notice that much if this comes to fruition. Very little severe weather, if any severe weather. Still the potential for rain and still the potential for heavy rain for that matter. But The real serious stuff, the crux, the severe weather, the tornadoes, the wind, all that would be on the other side of the storm. That's great news. That's the official National Hurricane Center forecast track, though. As we take a look at microcast, I want to show you one computer model. Our microcast, we've shifted it down to the south here. As we take it through the next 48 hours, notice here goes the movement to the north here. Starts to organize, looks a lot better by the time we get to Thursday morning. And then by the time we get to Thursday evening, not too far off the Florida coast here, already spreading some pretty good rain bands into Florida. Let's take a look at some of the other computer model tracks, though, for Hanna here. And notice up the coast we go, some to our east, but some to our west. So the National Hurricane Center forecast track is right in here about, but we still have those other ones on the other side. So we're not quite clear yet as to exactly whether it's going to go to our west and we have to put the chance of thunderstorms in, or if it's going to go to our east and we continue to just see the chance of some locally heavy rainfall. Best bet at this point timeline would be Friday evening. We start to see rain develop out ahead of Hanna. Hanna will lift up here on Friday night and Saturday, overspread us with some rain. The potential exists wherever the center of Hanna tracks for there to be 2, 3, 4 inches of rainfall out of this. Right now we think that'll be mostly off in this area right in here, but if that track does shift a little bit more to the west, then we get into some of that heavier rainfall, and then we have to talk about localized flash flooding and things like that. Something that we're going to have to keep an eye on over the next several days. The fun never ends here in the Weather Center. We'll keep you posted on this, a lot to digest. That's why we're doing video blogs rather than typed out blogs at this point. We'll go back to the other format once things do settle down. But we got a lot on our plate right now. We'll keep you posted. Take care and have a good night and a good day.